All right, let's give it a second. Um, when YouTube pops up, we should be good to go. Let's load it up now. Let's double check. Make sure it's known. And we're live.
And welcome to the Risk Reward Show presented by Risk Reward Media. My name is Chris Mercado. As usual, I am joined by
Eric Stroman. What's up, people?
And as usual, we're here to help you all find your upside in your career, your business, and also in your personal lives. Welcome to episode number 44. And we'll get right to our weekly rewind, starting off with some gaming metaverse news in that Microsoft has agreed to buy out Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. Mm-hmm. And Derek, what are your thoughts on this?
So first and foremost, I am a big gamer. So my first immediate thought was like, damn, Xbox is literally taking over. Me as an Xbox person, I definitely feel like Xbox doesn't have the best like Xbox only games. Like if it's an exclusive game, PlayStation definitely wins that. They have Spider-Man. Well, that's the most thing that I just like really care about is that I can't play Spider-Man. But the fact that Xbox is literally buying up all of these companies, I think this is crucial. And for me, basically, Activision Blizzard has games. The most popular games are like Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty. Tony Hawk is in there somewhere. Crash Bandicoot is in there also, and War of Warcraft, which I think is like the biggest buy. But
big name.
Yeah, so my first thought was like, I wonder how Xbox is gonna, basically put these games on to Game Pass. But then after doing a little bit more research into like this deal, for those who don't know, like the video gaming like world, they're not known for having the best type of workplace, like at all. There's a lot of sexual harassment going on. There's a lot of like unequal pay and stuff like that. So hearing that Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard for, I think it was $68 billion, 68.5 or something like that. Like just say 70 billion. My first thought was like, did they get it for the like a lower price? Because anything dealing with like gaming, when it comes to like esports alone is like a $300 billion like world. And now on top of that, they're adding to the metaverse. I really think when it comes to like games like War of Warcraft and like Minecraft, like the metaverse world is like it. Like I just don't know what like they're thinking, but I know that's like one of their big plays. So adding the metaverse and esports, I think alone is like $1 trillion, to business. So for them to get it for 70 billion, I think they got it for like really, really low because the CEO of Activision Blizzard was definitely having he has a bunch of lawsuits in terms of like the sexual harassment. So I think this is like an easy buyout for him in terms of like, you know what? It's off my hands. Y'all guys can have it. Like I'm done. And that kind of takes me out of that, that legal space. So as an Xbox fan, I hope that as a gamer, I hope that they don't only make certain games like Xbox only, because I feel like with Call of Duty, I feel like they don't want to, cut off all of their PlayStation, players and stuff like that. So that'll be like a dumb move. But I do foresee, certain games like big names, they're going to be like Xbox only. But my after doing like the research about it, I think they got it for the low. So what do you think, Chris?
I agree with you on that one. Even with the it's like a 25% pop from today's news, they're still underperforming. And part of that is the sexual harassment allegations in terms of like that company culture, because dozens of employees are going to be let go. And it doesn't look good on the CEO in terms of the culture for the company that he oversaw. So for him, it's like, all right, it sort of cleans up things really quickly, but not completely. And for Microsoft, it is on the cheap. So good job bargain shopping. Microsoft has so much cash. Apple has so much cash. Amazon has so much cash. They could do a few of these and it doesn't hurt them, even if the acquisition doesn't go really well. So this is what people do when like times are rough, or like we're in bear markets, or there's like underperformance. Like we want to buy stuff on sale. Activision was on sale. Microsoft got it. So, you know, it's a smart move, and I don't think this will be the last move for any of like the big tech companies. Like I think Peloton is gonna be bought out because of how much it's pulled back. So yeah, definitely not the first of the year.
Okay. So what's your weekly rewind?
Well, for me, it's also corporate news. It's earnings season. It just started with financials, and a couple stick out. So Goldman Sachs today, I think, took a dip as much as like 8%, leading the market down. But late last week, JP Morgan also reported, and it took a dip down. And what they cited was higher labor costs. And the reason I bring that up is this is gonna be the crux of our main topic when it comes to pay transparency, right? So, and I think this is the best way to do it. We just pivot right into it. We want to talk about this movement to have salaries posted in job descriptions. We see on LinkedIn professionals, you know, making it public how much they make. And again, in our previous episode, you've heard some of our thoughts on that, how it is helpful, how it is partly a flex, and how it might skew to the upside because those who are not earning as high as others probably won't be sharing their salaries, right? So we want to dig a little bit deeper on both the rewards and also maybe a couple of risks of making this move towards very, very transparent pay and salary data available to anyone and everyone. So let's kick it off with you, Derek. What do you think about pay transparency? What are the rewards?
So for me, pay transparency, New York will be second. I believe Colorado would be is one state that already has that. So even for me, whenever I'm working on like roles that are within that, you know, state, I have to say like this, we're offering like this range or just like this amount. So for the company side, talking as a recruiter, one, it saves me so much time because if I'm able to say for this role here, we're paying 120. That means if you're looking for 150 and higher, this role is not for you. I mean, you probably can haggle in terms of that, but for the most part, it saves the company time in terms of like not having to always reach out and kind of just, you know, figure that out after you really get them on to like that phone call. For employers, I think, yes, it will cost them a lot of money, but at the same time, they'll probably get much better talent. I feel like they'll get like top tier talent, but then, you know, top tier talent comes with a price. So is it a risk or is it a reward? But I think if whatever the role is, if the job is getting done done well, I think that's a price that you're willing to actually pay for. So you're willing to pay that premium price just because everything is going, you know, just like smoother. With regards to job seekers, I think this is great. This is what New York has been asking for. This is what job seekers have been asking for. So it's good to see Congress finally move on something that like the people want. Um, but in terms of the rewards for job seekers, I mean, once again, back to that time saving thing. Like if you know, in order for your life to be good, you need to be making 110. You're not going to look for jobs that are like 80,000, 90,000. You're going to be looking for those jobs there. Another thought I had that we were speaking about offline was this thought of now that you're aware of like these higher salaries, what does that do for like the lower paying jobs in terms of like, you know, the coordinator roles, like any job that doesn't pay like a really, really good, like good wage, what happens to those roles there? Me personally, I think that people are going to see what the pays are because a lot of companies don't say like, okay, for this role here, we're paying $45,000. That's not a real livable wage, especially in the city where everything is, you know, very, very pricey. So for the job seeker, does that mean that now, okay, I know that, you know, me being, you know, this coordinator doesn't really make like a good amount of, you know, money. How can I upskill myself to get to this six-figure salary? So I think there's going to be a real change in terms of another well, you know how like the market is very, very saturated in terms of like having a lot of people doing like front end and back end. I think whatever hot skill is, you know, or like hot role that's going to be offering like those like higher salaries, there's going to be a lot of people really just like upskilling to get to that actual salary. So for instance, I'm seeing a lot of people or a lot of companies hiring for cloud. If you know any type of cloud, whether it be AWS, Azure, or um, the Google Cloud platform, those companies are paying bank. So if I'm in that role where I'm making like 40 to 50,000, knowing that if I, you know, sit down, hunker down, and really build on the skill for like 6 months, then I can take my salary or probably just like double it. That's what I'm doing. So I think we're going to see another shift in like the mindset of how people are going to be working, and literally like those lower paying jobs definitely might phase out.
I definitely see that, and yeah, this is one of those where like the rewards clearly outweigh the risks.
There are always risks.
There's always a risk, and you know there might be unintended consequences that we just don't know about quite yet. So for me, because I do run a B2B company, so we deal with businesses, organizations. I think of them and what they have to do in terms of making sure that they have equitable pay structures. Those hiring levels are set to equitable salary targets. So like those compensation bands are really fair for everybody. And like this pressure on them. Look, if you have the budget of big tech, then it's actually not as much of a problem as it would be for like medium-sized companies. So I think aside from the risk to companies and organizations, I also think this is going to translate into an industry wide risk. So if you're not either fast growth or kind of like big established tech, you're going to have a hard time getting top tier talent. The top tier talent is going to go to those fast growth big tech companies. And I feel like there's going to be so much more brain drain across so many other industries. One, for example, is academia. And again, you know, when I was 21, I got into academia as a PhD student. And I started to see that world. And I'm on Instagram with a friend of mine who invited me to be a guest lecturer at a big university, and she's telling me about like her salary offer, and I saw the wage. I was like, oh my God, like that's not fair. Like that is so low. Like that's one contract for me.
Yeah.
And she's like super talented, right? And the first piece of advice I told was like, get into tech. Like that was like my instant reaction when I saw how much she was getting paid as a professor. And even in going to like a tenure track, so you had that security of having that job for life, right, when you're tenured. But again, unless you're in like that big school, or you have some things outside of the institution that you can make money from, that salary is like low. So I imagine more of a brain drain in an area like academia with pay transparency. And this is higher ed not being able to keep up, and they need to reinvent themselves. But yeah, this pay transparency, there's going to be risks to small, mid-sized companies, but also industries that are not directly tied to tech. Now, when it comes to workers, I don't see too many risks, except for something that might be more internal. And I have a feeling that seeing these salaries might cause uneasy feelings within. This could be a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of envy, but more so a little bit of guilt and shame in some of the decisions that either people made early on in their careers, or maybe in having to deal with certain circumstances that prevented them from really maximizing their salary, their income power earlier on in their careers. And it really feels like human nature to start comparing ourselves. And I'm not sure that's going to be terribly great for some people's psyches. And when people start to get in their feelings like that, that's when bad decisions happen. So people start questioning the meaning of life and everything about themselves. And, oh, I gotta go into this high-paying track now. Like I need to just start over, right? And what people don't seem to fully appreciate is there are risks in doing that. And you don't know if that next move is actually your best move. You only hear about the successful things. Yeah. A quick example of this, if I can have an analogy here, is Twitter put out a campaign, huge billboards across major cities, of tweets that later came true.
Oh, right. With it was like certain people. I know the guy Matthew Cherry, like he had one.
Matthew Cherry had one. Megan Thee Stallion has one too, and everyone celebrates it. I do too. However, I also know that there are gazillions of tweets just like that that never, quote, manifested. And I think about those people, like what can be done to help them? Like what happened to them? Why did this select few who are now celebrated and now make it seem like, oh, I can just tweet stuff and it'll come true because I put it out in the world? Like, really? For real? Like
Yeah.
if it was that easy, like
Give me the
I'd,
lotto numbers.
I'd be tweeting everything, right? Beyonce would be my wife one day. Like I'd be doing that. In fact, what I did today, I was like, all right, if it's this easy, if this is how like manifestation really works, according to some of y'all, I tweeted pathway to citizenship, right?
Let them know.
So, and again, drawing these parallels to like immigrant rights here. So I've seen calls for it for like over 20 years, haven't seen a whole lot of movement. So this idea of manifesting, and as we get more info like pay, like it's just one piece of information, but it is oftentimes not going to be the defining factor. There's so many other factors involved, like your own skill set, right? And then your own network who can give you like an advantage into getting these roles that you say you want now because you saw people getting paid really well. So again, this transparency might play with our psyches, and it's up to us to control those negative emotions that might come about so that we can still go back to making sensible decisions.
Yeah. Honestly and truthfully, I blame like social media. Like I feel it's all Twitter, IG, Snap, like every type of platform out there, because like you said before, it is like a humble brag when you make like when you say like, hey, like I make 120, and then you have someone who lives in like a very like let's say like a very rural like city like South Dakota or something like that, when they's like, oh, like I want that 120, but then companies are coming to them like the highest like I guess like a salary for your area is like $80,000, so you won't make that 120. So I really blame social media in terms of just giving people or just kind of blowing up their heads to think that, oh, I deserve this 120, and then you're gonna really get hit with the company like you don't really deserve that. Like you're not going to make that based off like like the skill set. But another thing I really do want to mention is something that you said earlier that it just didn't cross my mind, but startups and smaller companies, like they are going to suffer, I think, really, really bad, because you don't get paid much. You get paid in equity, really. And who wants to work for equity when I have bills? So I think for them it's going to be a long, long road, because if they have to be transparent in terms of what like they're offering, like it won't be a lot. So and now you have, if I had that same type of skill set and I had the choice to either work for like a Google or like a rising startup, I'm definitely going to go with like that on Google. And you have hundreds of people that are going to probably take that same route. So what happens to those smaller companies? Are we going to have those like startups that are coming out of people's basements still? Like is that going to be just like a thing still? But transparency, all in all, I think is a good thing. It's a move in the right direction, because people want to know how much they're just like getting paid. But the salary you are receiving is not everything. I mean, salary is up there in terms of like what people want, but would you want to work for a team or like a big team? Do you want to be like micromanaged? Do you have good benefits? Do you get equity? Do you get a bonus and stuff like that? So really think about like that total compensation when like you're going into like these new roles and stuff like that.
Exactly. We touched upon that last week as well. So
Yeah.
salary is just one component. You got to think about these other benefits. Could be something as immediate as a signing bonus, but also, what vacation and PTO time looks like, promotion cycles, right?
Yeah.
And all considerations. But again, we want to make this clear to our very supportive audience. We are in favor of pay transparency.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, overall, it's a win for employees. It's also a win for families and broader society to have it.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll move on to our final segment, our right move right now, and related to coming into a new year. Maybe we have new salaries. Last week I mentioned this idea of making sure that you take advantage of poaching season so that you have like set criteria on what would make you want to leave your current role or explore interviews. Because again, the best time to secure a role is when you already have a role. And I want to follow that up with my right move right now is, are you updating your resumes and your LinkedIn profiles? Right. So for me, by the end of this month, every professional should have updated their resumes and their LinkedIn profiles to have accounted for their impact and accomplishments from at least 2021. So that is simply my right move right now.
Okay. I definitely am in the process of revamping my LinkedIn. So I feel like thank you for that advice. It gives me that extra boost of confidence and that extra like hurry get this done. For me, my right move right now. So I was put on to this app called VeVe, VeVe. Basically, it is a marketplace where you can buy like NFTs. It's kind of like Top Shots and like OpenSea. Well, it's more like product based because you have companies like Coca-Cola, Disney, Marvel that are on it. So like they're giving like these drops. So literally last week I bought a comic book, which like they are doing like comic books. For instance, like Coca-Cola, they have like the panda inside of a globe. And so if you were to actually buy that, then like you'll actually have it. But let's say for instance, you know how with like Pokemon Go, you were able to do like that VR, AR and kind of like put that item like right there. So you're able to do that once you like have it purchased and stuff like that. So for me, I truly like that. But like I said, I just started to kind of just like play around with this new platform. But so far I have this comic book. I bought it for $6 and right now it's selling for 20. So a quick flip on my money. So now I'm starting to look at other things that are dropping. I will say if you don't have a reminder set, you will miss the drop like right away. There was something from Disney. It had like Mickey in it. So anything with Mickey, I feel like sells. And the fact that I missed it, like it was literally for about $20. Now it's like $2,000. Like if you were to sell it. So this is another, I guess, like avenue in case I know a lot of people are on like OpenSea now and buying like projects and stuff like that. But definitely take a look at VeVe. I'm on it heavily. I've been, looking at them, certain, like projects and stuff like that. So definitely take a look at that. And that is my right move for right now.
So Derek, you keep putting us on to new gems like VeVe. By the way, if anybody out there at VeVe is listening, feel free to reach out for any sponsorship
hey.
that you might be open to. But Derek, like, thank you for continually sharing like these kind of like new products to like look into, right? And I think it is an exciting space. And I want to close out by acknowledging one of our supporters. So the Bronxer, who's a pretty well-known artist and photographer in New York. So he put out his set of Bronxer NFTs and put it out on OpenSea. And it was bought, like the entire collection. And come to find out that it was one of my friends who bought one of his NFTs. So the power of the network and bringing people together. And even if it is in like these new spaces, like the same principles of networking and connection work. So put your people on, amplify them, and you'll get ahead, not just in business, but in your careers and in your personal lives. And you will find the upside as you continue to do that. So with that, thank you all again for supporting